Hello and welcome back to Treetop Health and of course Project Hospital. Now in this episode I'm thinking we may get to add a new department, but before we do that I want to go through some fixes and things that you guys have suggested in the comments. Namely, I want to utilize this ambulance space that we can't actually use for ambulance or something else. But before we get into that, there are a couple of little tiny fixes that we do have to address. Firstly is that these bathrooms are actually assigned to emergency rather than the ICU. Thank you for whoever pointed that out. Let's go ahead and fix that real quick. That'll just help out our janitors who are now working down here and get that fixed. The next thing I want to address is the fact that some of these rooms just don't have windows and they probably should. So I'm going to jump into a super quick time lapse and add windows to any of the rooms that I have forgotten to put them in. So we'll be back in a little bit. All right, that should just about do it for the windows. The next thing is someone suggested that we hire someone at night in our pharmacy here, just so that our nighttime employees can, or our nighttime patients who are leaving, because we do have night clinics now, can actually go ahead and buy the medicines that they require. And that is a fantastic idea. And I believe that is possible. For some reason in my brain, I thought that it wasn't, but it seems to be. So for instance, if we hire Brooke Jackson at night, it works. So that is fantastic. I don't think you can do that for the night shift and on the gift shop. And that is just because visitors don't visit the hospital during the night. And that makes perfect sense. For some reason, I got my wires crossed in my brain and thought that also applied to the pharmacy. But it does not. The next thing that we need to address is the fact that I do not actually have a histology lab. And I thought I did because I did a bunch of testing on this game. And in that world, I built one. But I did not build one here. So that is definitely something we should do. We have a nice little spot for it right up here, 6x10. That should be big enough for the moment. These are handling our workloads just fantastically at the moment. So we're going to jump into another quick little time lapse as I build out this histology lab. So we'll be back in a little bit. And that should just about do it for the histology lab. Of course, we do need to hire some people to work in here. Ideally, they would have advanced biochemistry, but ideally they're not going to be $362 a day. I'm looking at Cal right here, and she seems like she will be a perfect fit. We'll go ahead and throw her in there and also grab someone at nighttime. You are a scholar, but a slow learner. Let's have a look for advanced biochemistry. And you know what? Elizabeth Williams, $270 a day. You are officially hired. We're just going to hire the one for now because I don't know how much demand we're going to have for that lab just yet, but that should help out with that. It also looks like I don't have this corridor assigned to any department. I do, I just have the elevator in front of it. So let's grab the corridor and expand that out so that we don't see those elevator markings. And I believe this still functions as an elevator, even though we have designated the corridor in front of it. We'll go ahead and do the same thing with this department with the medical laboratories. That can be there and there. And radiology is going to be the same. That will be corridor. And I think emergency needs the same treatment here. Corridor in front of that and in front of that. And that should be good to go. Perfect. All right, the next thing on my list is working on this little ambulance bay. So what I'm thinking is, I keep getting complaints that my pharmacy isn't big enough. I think it is. I mean, we're managing to sell enough of our medicine that we don't have too much of a queue here at most times. But I think it could potentially be bigger, along with the gift shop as well. So I want to build a freestanding building out here that is purely for a pharmacy, gift shop, and also a service office. This says this room allows you to hire a manager who increases the overall efficiency of all janitors in the hospital and allows you to assign them to clean individual rooms. I'm not super concerned about cleaning individual rooms, but boosting everyone's efficiency is going to be a good thing. So I'm going to renovate this, and to do that, we're just going to build foundations right where that road is. And I will go ahead and add back in those roof tiles around the outside because I think it kind of works. And I actually want to also add some up here, just give a little bit of a point of difference. Potentially we'll have some chairs and things out there at some point. But I'm going to go ahead and build this up. This will be probably a decently long time lapse. I'm going to try and move the camera as little as possible so it's a nice seamless experience for you guys. And then we'll be back in a little bit. And with that, I think that is our little administration building complete. If we have a look from the outside, it looks all right. I don't mind it. It sort of just sits at the edge of our hospital, just being a little cute little building. It's a shame that you can't really adjust how the roofs look, but you know, we are really not looking at that very often, so I'm not too concerned about that. I am just noticing that I forgot to repaint this little section here. But that all sorted. We just need to move some of our people over and they should be good to go. So we can go ahead and reassign you to be over in the gift shop, and we can reassign you guys to all work down here. So we'll have 2 in the day, and we'll throw in 2 at night as well, and just see if that's enough. We might get people lining up, we might not. We'll have to figure that out. And then of course we do need to also go ahead and hire a manager for the administration office, and that should be simple enough. I would like someone with a decent amount of efficiency, so we'll go for William Miller. And you can't actually assign anyone for this, so we can't do a nighttime manager. But William Miller, who is managing the gift shop, managing the pharmacy, I think this is a perfect opportunity to add me back into the game. Someone said that I should make it so that ChubbyPanda is working in the gift shop selling ChubbyPanda merch, but I like to think of myself more as a manager. So we'll have him manage that employee who is selling ChubbyPanda merch. Link in the description if you are interested, by the way. So that is fantastic. The next thing we need to do is just clean up these little areas. I don't think we're actually going to add much in here. We might add a little bit of seating, a few vending machines maybe, but nothing too major over here. So we can go ahead and jump back into emergency. And we'll, for now, just make this all back into corridor if it could. Okay, that's not what I wanted to happen. Just do like so, jump into build mode and grab objects and basically just remove everything in those sections there. We will get a little bit of money back, but not a ton. And then we'll just go ahead and clean up the floor a little bit by using, I assume we'll just go ahead and do this and this, and then add our lines back in around the edges like so. So that should be like that, and that should be like that. And there we go. We just missed the cleaning sign. So we'll get rid of that, and that should be good. All up and running. We can go ahead and also add in a couple more windows while we're here. We do a 3x3 window there. And I'm just going to spend a little bit of time in another time lapse, making this look a little bit more interesting, a little bit more inviting for new clients coming in, or new patients, I should say, coming into our hospital. So we'll be back in a little bit. And I think something like that will work just fine. I believe that is everything on my list. We have... Yep, we have the Histology Lab, we have the admin office. I'm not actually 100% sure how the admin office works. I'm not 100% sure. If we come into this guy, oh, there we go. We can hire a manager at administrative department to be able to assign janitors to individual rooms. Okay, perfect. So if we jump into, say, for example, emergency, we click on you, we can say, hey, we want you to do specifically like the corridor, right? But we can remove that because I don't think that is entirely necessary. The only thing that we might have to manually assign people for is the administration department in general, because I don't actually think we have a janitor for that. The other option, of course, is that we could just go ahead and build one. We have plenty of room over here, so we'll jump into our build mode, grab our prefabs, which I forgot to load up again. We'll copy the standard cleaning room from over here, throw that down right there, and jump into the administrative department and make sure that is assigned as a cleaning closet, and also grab ourselves some staff to work that and clean our new little outbuilding. I understand that it's kind of far away, but it's a little building, so they really shouldn't have any trouble actually getting it clean. I'm not too concerned about that. We would like someone decently cheap for this. This is a perfect trait for a cleaner. Nancy Lopez has chemist, so she can clean floors much faster. Perfect. Absolutely love to see it. And Daniel Thomas, you are our night janitor for that department. All right, we still have $195,000 left in the bank. The question is, do we go ahead and start our new department now? Or do we jump into our insurance here and try and unlock a new department, get new things up and running? And I think that's what I want to do. I think I want Quick Snap Care to come in here and actually start doing things. So we're going to jump back into build mode for the last time, I hope, this episode. And we're going to go ahead and buy ourselves 2 new ambulances. Jump into insurance management here, and we can now enable Quick Snap Care. They're going to send us 10 patients per day. And we need to save a patient after 2 collapses. So I think we're going to do the exact same thing we did last time and accidentally, on purpose, make someone collapse. So we'll jump into a time lapse, wait for our first victim to come in, and we'll go ahead and give them very poor care, treat just the things that they need treated to stabilize them, and then we'll wait for them to collapse again and save them. So we'll be back in a little bit. All right, it looks like we have our first victim in Linda Garcia. We're going to be following her journey. She currently has a hemorrhage. We are not going to give her anti-hemorrhagics. I don't know. We're not going to give her those. We're going to control her by the doctor, and we will go ahead and do the things that we need to do to figure out what is wrong with her. As soon as she comes in here too, we will try and get her into the ICU as soon as possible. She needs to be diagnosed first, so that'll be fine. The reason we want to move her into the ICU as soon as possible is just so that we can save her as quickly as we possibly can, and it also frees up a bed in our trauma bay, of which we only have 2. So that is a good thing to do. We're going to close out these other tabs so that we can make sure that we can always see her, and we can actually star her as well. And that way we'll see her down here if we ever do lose sight of her. I really wish this tracking would stay persistent throughout changing things, but it doesn't, so that's annoying. But it is what it is. We're going to follow her until she collapses, and then we will figure out what to do from there. So we'll be back in a little bit. Just briefly pausing, this guy came in and he was misdiagnosed with sunburn. I imagine quite a painful burn, but I'm sorry to tell you this, pal. You actually have syphilis. Anyway, back to Linda. Okay, it says that we can't treat this guy. That is wrong. He is leaving. He should have been transferred to the sexual health department as soon as we diagnosed him with syphilis, but he wasn't. And that is a little bit unfortunate because all he needed was antibiotics. But, you know, sometimes these things happen. It also turns out we actually already have someone in our ICU. They are stable. They've pretty much been treated, but it means that we can't move Linda up there. So in the meantime, we are going to go ahead and add a second bed to our ICU. It's probably well worth the trouble anyway. These are expensive. that cost us $11,000. But you know what? It had to be done. So we'll go ahead and fix up this wall. That should be that. Rotate the camera around, double check all the other walls are good, and remove this little bit of a knobbin there. And we should be able to come back in here now and go to Linda and say, you are heading to the ICU because you are most likely about to collapse. And there we go. Linda has officially collapsed. The only thing we are going to treat here is the hypovolemic shock. Hopefully that hemorrhage causes her to have another one, and then we can treat that from there. So we'll go ahead and give her a blood transfusion. Hopefully that stabilizes her enough. I believe it has. She is no longer collapsing, but she should again very, very soon. Also have complicated diagnoses. I'm doing some of them. If it's something like this where it's just bronchitis and we can't possibly have any of the others, we'll go ahead and do that and then say let the doctor figure it out from there. But we're mainly focused on Linda right now. Hypovolemic shock has been suppressed, which is fantastic. We're just waiting for her to collapse again so that we can save her, and then we can go ahead and treat her properly. Doctors, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for this. All right, we have another problem. This guy is got something wrong with his elbow. It's either golfer's elbow, tennis elbow, or elbow bursitis. We can't determine that unless we do... Actually, we might be able to do a USG if we transfer him to there. Yeah, we can. Okay, so we don't actually need an MRI just yet unless these come back as negative. But we're continuing to keep an eye on Linda here. Okay, this is interesting. This is saying James Johnson can't be fully treated. I believe that is because our regular hospitalization is full, but we can go ahead and check on how this hospitalization is looking. It looks like we still have 4 free beds in the high dependency unit, so we can go ahead and send him there. And then once we unpause the game, we should be able to schedule him for surgery. So every now and then someone who needs the regular ward can be put in the HDU ward. Same with the HDU ward. Someone commented this before. If you've got no room in your HDU ward, you can go ahead and throw them in ICU and get the same level of care. So that is just something to note. We're hoping that Linda will collapse some point soon. So we'll be back when that happens. All right, so Thomas Williams has come back from his... wait, no, he didn't. This is a different one. Okay, so apparently the x-ray of the lower limb didn't determine if it's a sprain or a fracture, which I find unlikely. But you know what? That's NSAIDs, that's a leg cast. Yeah, we're going to have to build an MRI room. So a little detour away from Linda for the moment. We're going to jump into our radiology tab and go ahead and finally get that MRI room all set up. This, I imagine, is going to be expensive, but we'll jump into a time lapse and get this room all kitted out. But we now have an MRI room all fully functional. Go ahead and staff this. I don't know if we need it during the night, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I think we're making enough money at this point that we can just afford to go ahead and do that. We'll get Jennifer right in there at nighttime, and that should be fine. These are going to be for hospitalized patients only, just because we don't actually have a waiting room on this floor, so they would have nowhere to wait, and that should be okay. The other thing that we could do, now that I'm thinking about it, with the janitor management, if I can find the cleaning closet here, we could also assign... No, we can't. Okay. So they have to be in the department to be able to be assigned to a room, which is a little bit annoying. I thought we might be able to assign someone who is designated to the orthopedic department to clean the radiology labs that are in this department specifically, but that is unfortunately not the case. But we should now be able to go ahead and send Thomas Williams here after we put him in the hospital. That's annoying. That is annoying. If we set this to be both, does the waiting room here count? Or can we You know what? We might be able to make it work. We go clinic patients there and there, and then we grab ourselves a waiting room. Potentially split this waiting room in half. I don't know if this has enough stuff. It does, but this one now has no info queues. We can change the way we do that though. We grab waiting room and we split it in half this way. And then we grab ourselves Orthopedic, and their waiting room would go this way. Now both of these rooms should have everything they need to be able to function. We do have a wall that's not painted though. Throw those in. And now we should be able to use the MRI on clinic patients. So if we jump back in here, yeah, we can now send him for an MRI, and that will be fantastic. I'm quite happy with that solution, actually. All right, we'll jump back to Linda, check on how she's doing. She still hasn't gone into another collapse, but it's due any moment now, I'm sure of it. Long wait for bed. We can send you to the HDU for the moment. Hopefully that doesn't fill up too quickly. And we'll jump back into the time lapse. All right, we've officially run out of beds in regular hospitalization and high dependency. So at this point, we are going to have to start sending people home, which is a little unfortunate. I really thought we would be able to manage a little bit better, but turns out getting that extra insurance company might have been the bad move. But that's fine. We can send people home for the moment. We should still be making a decent amount of money. We've already made 66,000 today. Hopefully that continues to go up. And hopefully, I mean, I'm sure Linda isn't hoping for it, but I really need you to collapse again, please. So back to the time lapse. There we go. She's now collapsed twice. We can now give them over to our doctors, who are going to give her all of the care that she actually needs. And that gives us random events. Now we have to successfully finish one of those events in a row. That is going to be a challenge with the amount of patients that we have coming in. That will happen slowly but surely. I think what we're going to do is run a time lapse for a couple of days here, build up a little bit of cash flow, and then we'll be back with our next plans. I thought we had 2 doctors on at night in our emergency department. Turns out we don't, and they are now critical. So we'll go ahead and hire someone else for that and jump back into the time lapse. All right, it looks like we might need a new trauma bay or 2. So let's go ahead and do that. That should be fairly easy to get done. We'll just go ahead and copy this. I believe everything we need is in there. Copy that to there, and we may as well just go all out. These do cost $11,000 each, so that's $40,000 down the drain. The only thing, of course, we need to do is go ahead and fix the walls that shouldn't have been copied over. So that is those ones. Rotate the camera around, just double check everything is right, and that should be fine. I'm hoping we still have enough doctors and nurses to deal with that. We are going to have to send home, and then we'll jump back into the time lapse. We have our first death. She had all of the problems. She came in with a hemorrhage, unstoppable bleeding, multiple artery damage, hypovolemic shock, and then it just got worse and worse. So unfortunately, Rachel Adams, you are the first patient we were not able to save. I'm actually not 100% sure where you were. I imagine you were probably in the trauma bay. Yeah, there you are. And we just couldn't get to you in time. It's potentially possible that we might have to go ahead and hire some more doctors and nurses for this, but we're going to keep an eye on it. We only have 3 in there right now, so we'll see how it goes. A little bit unfortunate that we get that first death on our hands, but it is what it is. We're also down to $62,000, which is not fantastic. We have made $55,000 today. That has updated with the current costs of our staff, so we are still making money. We're just spending it. Long wait for treatment. We should be fine there. If we just have a look at how many surgeries we have planned, that's more than I would like to see. we might need to invest in a second surgical team for orthopedic very, very soon. We're going to keep an eye on that as well. We have another long wait for bed. Hopefully a whole bunch of people go home in the morning because we are currently sending a lot of people away. We need to get our next department up and running to hopefully spread the load of our patients a little bit more so that we have more room for hospitalizations. But yeah, we're going to jump into the time lapse. I'm going to ignore a lot of the stuff in that time lapse. I'll deal with some of it, but we won't build anything without telling you guys. So we'll be back in a little bit after we've built up a little bit more money. Oh, well, that's not good. I've never seen this message before. We just did an unnecessary surgery. The surgeons have found the expected symptom, haven't found the expected symptoms during surgery. The patient was most likely misdiagnosed. They were diagnosed with carpal tunnel, but it could have been a bunch of things. So that is not good. A $20,000 penalty has immediately applied by their insurance company. That's not good at all. We really need to be a little bit more sure of what is going on. So that's not good. Hopefully we can now send them back to do some more testing. I think an EMG is what we need. We still have a long wait for surgery, but that is fine. All right, back into the time lapse. All right, I've just been looking at our pharmacy and the line that we have here. I think we definitely need to hire some more staff for that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. They don't need to be particularly skilled. They just need to be able to do the things. I don't mind spending a little bit more money here because I actually don't think I'll hire any more night people. Workload at night is low, so that should be fine. We'll go ahead and hire 2 more people for the daytime. And that should hopefully help out clear out these patients who are waiting and send them on their way a little bit quicker. And yeah, that's already cleared out that line, so that is fantastic. We have another patient who has absolutely terrible symptoms. They have hypovolemic shock, exposed bone, open wound, arm injury. We're going to treat them as a code blue. Hopefully that means we can get to them in time and treat them for everything they need. Looks like we can't send them to the ICU until we've got an actual diagnosis. So they're going to have to stay here until we get that done. We have stabilized them, so that is fantastic news. Hopefully they make it through. Sunset Puma leveled up, is now a specialist, has advanced diagnostics and acute medicine. Doing great. Doing great. One of our Golden Panda members. Link to join the membership, by the way, is in the description if you can't find the join button on YouTube. I know some people have been struggling with that. So there is a link in every description. So check that out if you are interested in that. But back to it. All right, so I just wanted to address this real quick. We currently have a renovation of a nearby hospital causing 30% more patients to come. So we have 158 patients coming in for the next 2 days. We do have 6 rooms with critical workload. I believe that is because of this event, not because our hospital is poorly designed. We did manage to make $63,000 on the day. If we have a look at what is actually struggling here, I believe it's going to be the pharmacy. For that, the emergency room is fine, which is good to see. We have 4 critical rooms in radiology. Neither of these, but this one and this one is constantly critical. So I think I will go ahead and build that second x-ray room over here because that is struggling a little bit. These ones are both critical, but I think this is critical as well. Everything's critical. So that is something that we should probably address. This is also critical. I don't know what though. Nope, not that. What is critical in here? I mean, I know these are both stressed to the max. Oh, that's right. It's the surgery bay. which is strange. They should be doing just fine. Everything is set up right at nighttime, right? We have 2 medical nurses, surgeon, anesthesiologist, and an assistant. So that should be fine. Yeah, not 100% sure why we have so many surgeries going on. We could potentially go ahead and hire another team for during the day to hopefully clear some of this out. But I don't think it's necessary. I think this is all going to be solved as soon as we start building our next department. But in the meantime, I will go ahead and build out another X-ray room. So we'll jump into a quick time lapse as I get that done. And since the workload here is low at night, we're just going to hire someone for during the day. I would like them to be pretty good at their job. If they could have fast as well, that would be fantastic. Not seeing anyone there that I'm particularly interested in. Robert Jones isn't bad. They have early bird, so they're going to work more efficiently during the day. They have dirty feet, that's not really a problem. They have pleasant, which is nice, and they have comforting, so they don't cause any discomfort. I think you are going to do the job nicely. So Robert Jones is in during the day. We're going to make that for hospitalized patients only, which is the same as over here, and jump back into the time lapse. Okay, we're going to have to address it. We are going to have to address it. We have a look at our surgery list. Everyone is complaining about a super long wait. I think we have to hire another team of doctors in here. This is going to be expensive. I'm hoping that it'll pay off in the long run. We are going to copy this entire thing and build a second surgical suite. Thankfully, that auto assigns everything. We just need to go ahead and assign our doctors. So I'm going to jump into a time lapse as we get this done. And once that is done, I am also going to go ahead and hire some more janitors for the emergency department because look at the state of this floor. That's just not good enough. So we'll be back in a little bit. All right, so we have 3 staff on cleaning in the emergency department because let's be honest, the emergency department is huge. And we've also hired another 2 teams of surgeons to work in our surgery bays. We might have to change that up as soon as we unlock another department because they will also require surgery, and hopefully this will thin out a little bit, but that should hopefully help us churn through patients that little bit quicker and end up making us money instead of costing us money, because now we're back down to $30,000 again. Unfortunately, we might end up having to take a loan to build our next department, but that is absolutely fine because at the moment we are just sending people away left and right. But back into the time lapse. All right, and with that extra surgery department, we may also need to hire a couple of more nurses to transport patients around. So we'll go ahead and do that as well. We currently have 3 dedicated to that. We might actually have to end up building some more computers to accommodate those guys. So we can throw one there, and that should do it. Keep all of the patient transfer nurses nice and close to each other. So we'll go ahead and grab those guys. And for these guys, I generally like to make them myself. It makes them cheaper and it makes them so have the traits that I want them to have. We currently only have $30,000 in the budget. We want to hire probably 4 more people. So I am actually going to have to take out a quick loan to get this done, but that will be okay. So we'll go ahead and make these guys and be back in a little bit. All right, we have a little bit of a problem in emergency. Apparently I did not buy enough stretchers, so we'll go ahead and fix that right quick. That is definitely my bad. I believe they're medical, and they are. We'll go ahead and add a couple more stretchers into our emergency department. That should take the strain off of them. Looks like our bed utilization in observation for emergency is still quite low, so we might actually be able to do something else with this in the long run, but I'm going to save it for the moment. I think this is probably a decent point to end the episode. I think in the next episode, we are going to have a look at cardiology, because a couple of you guys challenged me in the comments to build a cardiology department. I believe that is probably going to end up over here, although I'm not actually 100% sure what that entails. Looks like it's got pretty much all of the same things as this, so we can probably fit it in here. If we can't, we might end up building it in these two boxes down the bottom, but we will see about that. This ended up being more of a fix it, try and make money episode. I hope you guys don't mind. That has to happen every now and then. I'm quite happy with how the pharmacy and gift shop are performing. If we have a look at our budget for the last few days, they went ahead and made 8 grand today. They made 13,000 the day before. And before we had the night employees and the larger pharmacy up and running, they were only making 5 grand. So that is definitely an improvement. We're still making about 70 grand a day. Off camera, I might go ahead and run the day until like the start of day 21, just so that we have a little bit more money. I promise I won't change anything. If we have any problems, I'll note them down and we'll fix them in the start of the next episode. But in the meantime, I hope you guys are enjoying the series. If you are, please make sure to leave a like on the video. It helps out the channel a great amount. Leave a comment for the sake of engagement. Leave a comment to let me know what you would like to see next. Make sure to check out our merch and memberships. Links are in the description. Gold Panda members get their name in the game. But until next time, happy building, happy doctoring. Bye, guys.